Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to day two of our Capgemini stage. This stage is all about telling stories, some really exciting and interesting stories about the connected future. And we're going to start this morning with a topic that is very relevant, particularly if you're from the automotive industry, all about connected mobility. So I want to take a few moments to introduce our speakers in just a second. Anyone who has questions, there will be a question period at the end of the presentation. Just put your hand up. We're happy to get a microphone to you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Bruno Coelho and Usama Ben Musa from Capgemini Engineering. Over to you, gentlemen.
Hello,
Thank you.
everyone.
Hello, good morning. Thank you. So, today we're going to talk about autonomous mobility and how connectivity can help that. But first we should talk about what is the consumer's perspective. Do they want an autonomous car? Are they willing to get inside an autonomous car, or are they afraid? So, you can see here the consumer perspective. The consumer perspective says that there are, in majority, people are willing to buy a car and be inside the car, but also majority says that they would like to have that autonomous car in 5 years. It already says something about the safety concerns that the users have or the consumers have regarding autonomous vehicles. And when was this study? Capgemini did this study in 2018. So in 2018, they were saying, okay, in 5 years' time, I'm more comfortable to be inside a vehicle, because I'm not so sure about the safety aspects of the autonomous car. Now, 2018. So how has this consumer perspective evolved? Has it gotten better or worse? There was an interesting study from last year that said let's say the consumers, they, they decreased their confidence on the autonomous vehicles by 3 percentage points. And why is that? Because we see the news and we see the promises from the OEMs, and some news, they push back a little bit the expectations and let's say the confidence of the consumers to buy the cars. So this is the perspective of the one that is buying a car. They want to buy it, but they want to feel safe. And can connectivity help? That's the question of today. So if we see now the perspective of the OEMs, it's also interesting. So let's see. The first statement is, so cars will be autonomous soon. It will be very soon. Another statement is that in 1 month it will come, at least on the highways. And you guys can guess when these statements were made? Last year? 1 month ago? How many years ago? 2014? And the next one, 2015. So the OEM's perspective, they are having a hard time to really make a car autonomous. And there is levels of autonomy that Osama is going to introduce you to. So this is from the OEM's perspective, many years ago. So what happened lately? In another comment, Alan said, next year, the car will be out. Next year. This time will be the year. And what happened? It was in 2019. So again, another delay on engineering. And then really lately, he admitted in an interview, he admitted that it was harder than he ever thought. He thought it was hard, but it's really, really hard to make the autonomous vehicle to function as humans do. Just to function as humans do. And this statement was done already 1 year ago. Okay, so what's happening? What's going on? Something is happening here. And what are the approaches that people are taking in order to complete the dream of having a real autonomous vehicle? So there is one way, there is one push, which is to go harder and harder on the AI, let's say, approach, continue to enlarge the neural networks, build thousands and thousands and thousands of nodes that compute together and emulate the brain, but it's still the classical approach. And there is problems in latency, there is problems in calculation propagation to trying to compute what the brain does. This is one approach. This is a Tesla approach. There is another approach, very promising, which is called neuromorphic computing, which is trying to make the brain, to make hardware that really functions as the brain does and can really mimic the 10 billion of nodes of neurons that we have. And this is really promising, but it's still early stage. This is neuromorphic computing. If we combine that with photonic computing to propagate the communication inside the brain, this is what is really promising to be even better than the brain. But it will take 10 years at least. So AI will achieve a breaking point that will at least equal the human brain or even surpass the human brain. But what we say is that even though even though we have computers that are smarter than us, we say it's not enough to really reach autonomous vehicles in the full extent. And I'd like to have your answer, Osama. Is
Thank you.
this enough or not?
I will answer, but let me first saying that I'm very, very happy to be with you on the stage, talking about these amazing topics. I like very much talking about connectivity for autonomous world and for autonomous driving, but not only autonomous driving. I prefer talking about autonomous mobility because autonomous is everywhere, in fact. Now to answer your question, Bruno, it's not enough, okay? Maybe this is trivial. We need to augment the horizon. And this is very important when we talk about shared data, shared service, intelligent computation, computation with hybrid architecture, both on the embedded system then in the edge and the cloud, the autonomous mobility experience, because at the end, we need to deploy real experience to deliver it for end customer. And the end customer need to accept the autonomous experience. So let me add something. We don't talk about, enough about operational domain design, which is very, very important. It's the new trend here, the operational domain design, because we can design, develop, validate a system in any industry, but we need to fit on the operational domain design. We need to measure it in real time, and connectivity can play a big role here in this field. So when you talk about autonomous mobility, as I said, everywhere, in automotive with classic use cases, in railway, because we are developing right now autonomous train. Capgemini is a part of a consortium developing autonomous freight train. Amazing project using connectivity as the glue between all the system of systems that we need to put in place to make this train reality, let's say. Aeronautics with drones, taxi phase of commercial aircraft, but also marine, logistic, and so on. So many applications for autonomous mobility. But there is a lot of scope and driving factors. I will not, let's say, talk about all, but complexity depending of the level of autonomy, the data-driven process, the regulation is very important, without talking about the fact that autonomous mobility is a software-driven journey also. But here, connectivity is very, very important.
There's still
Let's talk about
connectivity.
it. Yeah,
There is hope for connectivity.
exactly. So, what about connectivity? Let me first share with you a vision. So here, the source is 5G AA. Here we are talking about massive deployment of CV2X use cases. Just to give you an example, we are thinking the technology or the massive deployment by technology and also by roadmap. The question is this the right way to do? I'm not sure. I'll try to explain why. So you see here on the CV2X use case, we are focused on safety approach. It's very important for autonomous driving. We wanted to enhance the safety by using a hybrid architecture, both in the embedded system and in infrastructure, using vehicle to X communication. For many applications, here we are in experimentation of many use cases, and we have some demos on our booth talking about those use cases, but the target is here. In fact, we need to deploy massively those use cases, and for that, many constraints need to be tackled. The OEMs need to update their architecture and their vehicle platform. The infrastructure needs also to be upgraded. The software that we need to embed both in the car, then in the edge or in the cloud, needs also developed in a good way, in fact, with the trust. So a lot of challenge and a lot of constraint. So the question, is this the right way to think the place of the connectivity in the autonomous mobility world? I don't think. My opinion is that we need to think the connectivity by use case. We need to, as we did for the safety, with the safety by design approach, we need to, as soon as possible on the cycle of development, at the high level of use case definition, we need to involve and to include the connectivity specification, architecture, technology, and so on in the design of the use case.
Osama, let me ask you, is this a multifunctional team? Looks like. How can that work all together? I believe
Yeah,
that's a good transition to that slide.
exactly. You do my transition. Thank you very much, Bruno. So here is an example of Capgemini vision regarding the autonomous mobility architecture platform. We see a vertical in green, but let's say we have a common platform because we are, for example, in a vehicle architecture platform with the hardware EE architecture or platform, connected platform, edge, cloud, etc. So in this vertical of autonomous driving or autonomous mobility, we need to think a fluent experience regarding all those layers, starting from the HPC domain, the hypervisor, the operating system, all the applicative layer for the autonomous driving, but also here, the connectivity need to be part as soon as possible in the design journey in this architecture, and not to consume an existing technology just to consume connectivity. We need to think the use case that we need to develop to define the right technology regarding the operational domain design, the network coverage, and also the experience users. And from that, we land on the edge and the cloud with many services regarding the data platform, the augmented software platform as a second brain for the car in the edge or in the cloud, but also many other services like supervision and fleet management. All those services need connectivity. And that at this stage, in the automotive industry, we don't yet tackle the right way to design this architecture and to develop it. It's already a journey ongoing, and we need many years to land on the optimized architecture. Let's focus now into a few examples. We are running out of the time. Let's try again. Up, it will come. With the sound, it will be better. Amazing stuff ongoing by our TNI team in Portugal. But the key message here is that we are introducing a new concept on the development of autonomous driving. We know the software in the loop platform, the hardware in the loop platform, the vehicle in the loop platform, but here we need to count on the downsized vehicle in the loop platform. It's very interesting concept in which we can develop software with all the architecture that we presented just before, test it just close to our PC, and before going to the real prototype. And it will allow us to accelerate the development cycle and to increase the number of loops between the software platform and the vehicle platform.
Osama, if you, Vasco, can you raise your hand, please? So if you have questions, if you want to touch the car, talk about all the features, all the technical topics, you have Vasco there, you have the demo over there, so feel free to approach.
Yeah, we had an amazing exchange yesterday with a client who asked us if it is possible to go on submarine use case with this car. So we say not yet, but it's feasible as soon as possible. So the second use case, let's say, is this amazing car that you see also here, developed by our TNI team in Spain. Remote is an interesting concept, exploring the projection of the intelligence and the projection, the sharing of the intelligence between the car and the cloud. And let's see the video. It will be better than my explanation. I know, Bruno, you like concrete things. The good news for you is the car is here.
Yeah.
So we can touch it. So don't hesitate to exchange with our colleague, Adolfo, Mikel, and all the team, amazing team in Spain, developing this concept, in fact. Last example, Bruno?
Yes. So those are projects that we have already a demo, a hardware, a software integrated, and we are able to show. This is another example of a project that we are starting now. We started at the end of last year. It will continue for the next 3 years. And here the approach is to talk about autonomous mobility in an integrated way. We will have 3 demos in 3 cities. And here the focus is to talk about safety. What do I mean by safety? It means that when there is a sensor that is helping the car to be autonomous that fails, what are the procedures to make sure that the vehicle and the passenger reach a safe location in a safe time? Another example is how can we ensure, as Osama was saying, how the connectivity helps the car. If there is a problem, can connectivity help to move to safety? Another approach that we are having is what are the services in the network, again, driven by autonomous features, what are the services in the network that can support the car in the safety aspects? Can it really be done? Connectivity help in the safety, or is it just a backup, or is it just not reasonable to think about connectivity in the safety aspects? So this is a project that will go on for the next 3 years. And we also chose safety because it's complementary to a French project that we have in our colleagues in France called Open Road, 5G Open Road. And this is more focusing on use cases like delivering packages, moving passengers from A to B in an autonomous vehicle. And this is how we show as Capgemini that we together we are covering several aspects of the future all together in the same framework as Osama said. And this is it.
Thank you, Bruno. In conclusion, let me say in an humble way, in automotive industry, we have an issue right now because we are consuming connectivity technology built and designed for other industry. Okay, this is my opinion. And the way is why we are breaking also the path and the journey to accelerate the deployment of massive application like we shared in the presentation. So the solution is that we need to change the paradigm. We need to specify the connectivity platform with taking into account the system architecture and approach by use case. So we need to think connectivity by use case and to define the right technology adapted to the massive deployment of the use case. And with this way, with let's say simple in terms of thinking, but it will impact drastically our way to specify, to design, to develop software and to validate all those systems to be able to accelerate and to target the massive deployment as we aim for a world with autonomous everywhere, we do.
And thank you, Osama. The last question for you, Osama. Have we done it, or are we just talking about something that we haven't done? Are we doing this, what we are saying?
So at Capgemini, you know, we are developing a lot of asset and solution regarding the autonomous mobility, as we say some example today, but there is many examples of developing autonomous car in India, in Portugal, in Morocco, in Germany. So a lot of countries and geos working all together to develop a new approach. So we are trying to anticipate many the question or the optimization of the process, but we need to do it with all our ecosystem because we are a part of an ecosystem including OEMs, tier 1, tier 2, startup, tech provider, and so on. So this is also the challenge for us as Capgemini Group.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Hi there. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, how do you see autonomous connectivity changing the wider ecosystem? So for insurance, for example, this will have a huge impact. How do you see the subscription model evolving for car manufacturers in light of autonomous driving? Do you see car sharing being more popular, as people get more opportunities, more marketplace platforms? So if you can share your thoughts, that'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So one topic, Sama, this is a very interesting question. So regarding the liability, regarding insurance is the liability. And we have, if we talk about the levels of autonomy, there is two levels where the human shouldn't touch the car unless there is an emergency. And the last level is that there are no pedals and no wheels. So on these two levels, the liability goes to the OEM, right? And the question is, are we ready in Europe to make that policy change for the OEMs to be ensured that they are confident enough to be liable? And that for sure will happen, but we don't see it yet in Europe, let's say. What we see now is preparation for some trials that are in confined spaces, in regulated spaces, where let's say the liabilities is minimized. Regarding the use case itself for the consumers, as we talked at the beginning, the consumers, there are several studies that go, let's say, more confident and other studies that go less confident. So what we see is that there is a trend for sure, as not owning a vehicle, but the speed of adoption is going very slow. It's going very slow because also of these technologies that we just talked about that are coming to the market slower. So that will be in the future, but we don't know how fast.
Yeah. Let me. So there is many question in your question, in fact. But let me talk answer by a concrete use case. So we have a shared car. I am a customer. I'm coming. So the camera embedded on the car will recognize me. So we need a connectivity between the camera and let's say the service deployed in the cloud to just to recognize with face recognition, for example. I will open the door. I will sit and I need to start the engine. I need a double confirmation of my double authentication to be sure that the driver with the same people who rent the car and open the door, okay? And after that, I need to run with many additional service regarding the traffic jam optimization and so on, using connectivity. So connectivity is the heart of the use case to make it seamless and to make it also, let's say, the best possible in terms of mobility experience. Coming to the insurance point, many scenarios are under discussion. So for example, when the autopilot is activated, so it's, let's say it's the responsibility of the OEM, and behind the OEM, we have all the ecosystem, including also Capgemini, because when we are involved on the development of an autopilot, we are also responsible of a part of this development. And when the driver is behind the steering wheel, for sure, it's a classic insurance that is applied here. But this use case or this situation is not easy because we have a transition between the driver and the autopilot. And one of the answers now is to embed by July 2024 a data recorder in the car, as in the plane, so you know, for the black boxes. So in fact, the goal is afterward, if there is an accident, to analyze what has happened and to try to identify who is responsible for what, to share the responsibility between the different insurance for the car.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there is another question or
Any other questions?
So again, we are at your service, at your disposal. We are over there with the cars, near the cars. Come talk to us.
yeah, thank you very much, Bruno. We come from automotive. We are very, very pleased to be with our colleague from Telco in this amazing booth, amazing also event. So don't hesitate to come back to us to answer all your questions. Thank you very much for your listening.